The Supreme Court is upholding the ban on TikTok.
We'll take a look at the court's decision from this morning and what presidential leadership is saying about the future of the app.
And with more cold weather on our way, the city says it's implementing some changes to its cold weather shelters. What lesson it says it learned from the last cold snap we had.
Big changes in the forecast. We'll talk about a sudden drop of temperature is expected, and could we get some wintry weather out of this on First Warning Weather?
In-depth, investigative. This is KXAN News at Noon.
Thanks for joining us today. New for you here, the Supreme Court ruled to keep the TikTok ban in place. This happened just earlier this morning.
This means the social media app could go dark this Sunday. The High Court ruled that the Chinese-based parent company ByteDance must divest from the app. A law passed with wide bipartisan support in Congress, and President Joe Biden signed that into law last April. TikTok argued that divestment infringes on the First Amendment and the rights of the company and its users. The justices, though, said they believe the law does not violate the First Amendment. The court wrote in its opinion today, quote, "Under these circumstances, we find the government's data collection justification sufficient to sustain the challenge provisions." Last night, though, President Biden said he will not enforce the ban on the app. A U.S. official said that Biden is leaving TikTok's fate in the hands of President-elect Donald Trump. Trump once called to ban the app too, but has since pledged to keep the app available here in the U.S. However, his transition team has not said how they intend to accomplish that. An investigation is happening today after an explosion overnight at a home in Bastrop.
First responders tell us this happened in the 100 block of Wilbarger Cove there. The initial call to 911 came in just before 2 in the morning. Firefighters are now working to determine if it was the explosion that started the fire or the fire that actually caused the explosion. We do have some good news for you, though. Investigators say they believe the house was vacant at the time of this explosion.
Organizers behind the City of Austin's cold weather shelters are once again trying to make sure that people are not left out during the winter weather that we're expecting soon.
All last week, shelters housed hundreds of people each night. We reported some of those numbers previously, but KXAN's Mercedes Hernandez is here now. And Mercedes, you heard that those organizers say they learned a few lessons from the last cold snap. What do they say are they going to bring into this next one?
Yeah, so the folks that put on these shelters say that the biggest takeaway anytime that they're activated is really being able to roll with the punches and be flexible in their response. Now, of course, sometimes that comes with figuring out where to put everybody when extra guests show up. Busload after busload of people lined up at One Texas Center in downtown Austin all last week, registering to stay at one of the city's overnight shelters and out of the cold.
We're starting our planning now.
With more freezing conditions expected next week, Greg McCormick with the city's homeless strategy office says operators are ready to do it all over again.
When it gets really cold like this, it becomes dangerous. And so we're fortunate to have a great group of folks that are dedicated to this.
Last week, the number of people needing somewhere to stay grew well past the 300 guests the city's initial cold weather response plans for. On Thursday, the shelter also let people stay 24/7, not just at night.
We're meeting with all of the departments, with Cap Metro.
McCormick says keeping people safe requires planning, but also the ability to rearrange plans.
It looks like it's going to be a long stretch and consecutive days, and so we want to be as prepared as possible.
And the shelters have not been activated yet, but McCormick, who you just heard from, says he anticipates shelters opening in some capacity next week. That'll happen when it gets to 35 degrees and below.
First Warning Weather with meteorologist Tommy House.
Hey, hope you all had a great start to the day so far. So here's kind of the big headline that we've been talking now for several days on end at the First Warning Weather Center. Cold air is on the way. The question is if you line up the moisture with the cold air, could we get some snow out of it? Well, during a full forecast, we've been talking about the specific timeline and impacts, but I'm going to focus right now first on current conditions around our area. At the airport, 55, seeing some breaks through the clouds, winds out of the south-southwest at about 5 to 10 miles per hour. have some sort of rainfall right now on our Doppler, and big picture is not a lot of that is falling to the surface. It's just so dry with dew points in the 20s and 30s. Regardless, I'm keeping that 10% chance of rain through 3 p.m. and then we're going to be dry overnight tonight before our front arrives tomorrow. Hill Country current temps 55 in Lampasas County, 57 in San Saba County, near 60 in Lana. How about that? Gillespie County 53, Marble Falls 58, Blanco 55 down towards San Marcos 54, as well as Kyle and Buda 55 downtown Austin up toward Williamson County upper 50s. Could see some 60s in the next hour, high temperature in the mid to upper 60s, but then that's going to quickly change by Saturday, then Sunday, Monday, even into Tuesday. Look at that temperature change. 38 on Monday. How about that? Add on top of that wind chills and moisture. Could be dealing with some wintry weather here. So we're talking about your weekend forecast, the timing for when this Arctic front arrives and the impacts of that. That's all coming up in the next few minutes.
Tommy, thank you. An effort to protect children from drug overdoses is getting a new boost. Now, for some background, Hays County dealt with a surge of deadly teenage fentanyl overdoses in the past few years.
Texas State University is now teaming up with schools in the county to make sure that young people have the tools they need to avoid a similar situation. The Fentanyl Education, Support Training and Awareness Program at Texas State just got about $2 million to help schools implement fentanyl awareness curriculums. The team is working towards implementing one of those for Wimberley and Dripping Springs school districts now, and that could expand.
My goal is to make sure and hopefully reduce the likelihood of any additional accidental overdoses regarding fentanyl over the next 5 years and beyond that based on this program.
We're told they'll start implementing curriculums this year to further spread awareness. Lawmakers at the state capitol this session are working to pass additional legislation to implement fentanyl awareness into grade school curriculums as well.
Adding some depth for you, in Fayette County, home to the city of LaGrange, the sheriff's office there tells us it's seen an unusual spike in opioid overdoses recently. They say they're concerned that they could see more. They told us, quote, while it could be coincidental that these events have happened in rapid succession of one another, it's at least worthy of alerting the public to the matter. The Texas truck driver charged in the deaths of 53 migrants pleaded guilty. The group died inside a sweltering tractor trailer with no air conditioning back in 2022. These tragic deaths became the nation's deadliest smuggling attempt across the U.S.-Mexico border. Homero Zamorano Jr. pled guilty yesterday. He is set to be sentenced in April. The Justice Department says he could face a maximum sentence of life in prison. Turning now to a contentious vote for the Speaker of the Texas House of Representatives that we saw earlier this week. It's raising some questions.
Yeah, one of those is whether the Republican Party can prevent a candidate from running in the party's primary. Republican Dustin Burrows is the new Texas House Speaker. However, he was not the choice of the state party. The Republican chair says that county parties could censure the 36 House Republicans who voted for Burrows. Then the state Republican Executive Committee would decide how to penalize that House member. Those penalties range in severity.
One, it could mean it's just a slap on the wrist and don't do it again. The worst thing that could happen is remove them from ballot and tell them you cannot run as a Republican in the next cycle.
A Texas law firm analyzed whether this is legal, and it said maybe no. It says the Texas Election Code does not permit political parties to restrict ballot access. Before the legislative session got underway, the Texas Politics Project over at UT Austin asked voters what they think should be top priority for lawmakers this go around. Border security came out on top at 22%, followed by the economy at 16%. Public education came in third at 8%. In fact, aside from the border and the economy, no other issue, including abortion, crime, and taxes, cracked the top 10%. How you get around is top of mind at the Texas legislature. We have seen several bills filed by lawmakers related to transportation already this session. Those include a bill to cap how long trains can be in Texas, a bill to boost plans for high-speed rail, another bill to prohibit public funds for paying for high-speed rail. And then there's also a constitutional amendment proposed to fund some road projects. You can read about all the specifics of those with this story under the politics section of KXAN.com.
A man is in the Travis County Jail facing a first-degree murder charge in connection with Austin's second homicide of 2025. Yesterday, the U.S. Marshals Lone Star Fugitive Task Force arrested Frank Bonner at a bus stop. Police say that he is connected to the death of a woman found on Manor Road on January 9th. Most of Austin's violent crime suspects and victims had previous involvements with the criminal justice system. That's according to the city's Office of Violence Prevention. That office is tasked with trying to find a way to break that cycle, and it's sharing more about the community-based efforts to do that. We spoke with two people who are doing that kind of work.
And we also ask for people to be understanding in the fact that everybody out here is not bad. Their circumstance and their situation doesn't define who they are. What defines who they are is the character, but you won't know that until you come out there and talk to them.
The two men you heard from there are from a group called ATX Peace that works here in Austin. Now, the Office of Violence Prevention is trying to secure additional grants that specifically target preventing gun violence. Going in depth now, according to the Violence Prevention Office, most of Austin's homicides happen in East and Northeast Austin. ATX Peace currently has operations in the Runberg area north of 183, as well as others in East and Southeast Austin.
The Austin Police Department is telling the Downtown Austin Alliance that staffing downtown has dropped to 65%. That was mainly because police officers, they say, are getting promoted. This all happened at the Downtown Austin Alliance monthly meeting. This was yesterday. APD said while there are fewer officers, the department's data shows police are making more arrests in downtown.
When I first started on night shift here, we had shootings all the time on 6th Street. The officers have really taken that to heart. They're doing what they can to try to get as many guns off the street as they can. They've gotten so good that, they recognize people as frequent drug dealers, always possessing weapons, and they'll make the same arrest on the same person multiple times a year.
Police data shows vehicle and car burglaries have both dropped between 2023 and 2024. We're taking a live look now from the top of our Austonian camera, where Tommy is tracking some temperatures that you'll enjoy for the next few days, and then a major change that is going to disrupt some of your weekend schedules. He's going to have our full forecast coming up in just a bit. And that cold is actually making some changes we want to alert you to this morning. The MLK Community March planned for Monday has now been canceled because of that incoming weather. The festival, though, has been rescheduled to Saturday, February 1st. We've got details on that on our website, KXAN.com. One thing that will go on despite the cold, runners preparing for the Austin International Half on Sunday, previously called the 3M Half Marathon. Yeah, that's still going on, so bundle up. We do want to give you a look at the route. Even if you're not running or going out to cheer on your friends, there will be some road closures that start overnight on Saturday. Some will be full road closures, some are partial, so your Sunday commute might be a little different than normal. To find out any detours you should take and a closer look at what and when is closed, where, you can look at this story from digital reporter KXAN's Kelsey Thompson on KXAN.com right now.
Well, Austin is certainly no stranger to development. We see lots of cranes popping up everywhere around our community, but what about a surf park? How about that coming to our area? Now, the Austin Surf Club neighborhood is under construction at this point. That's according to our partners at the Austin Business Journal. That development is going on top of what used to be Inland Surf Park, which closed its doors back in 2018. While the developers have not confirmed many of the details that came out of public records, the city of Austin did approve that a site plan in October, which includes plans for more than 140 condos, a brewery, a cafe, a restaurant, and a clubhouse alongside the surf park, which according to its website will have a 2,200 square foot surf basin. It was originally set to break ground in 2023, but the project was delayed. Those renderings are kind of incredible, and it will be really interesting to see what comes out of that if it progresses in its construction, because that's pretty wild.
Yeah, for our landlocked city to have some surfing going on, okay.
Right. Like seafood in Nebraska, I don't know. We'll see.
Exactly.
Okay, I am going to put you on blast. You are running this weekend. You're braving the cold temperatures?
Yeah, I'm not going to consistently run it, but probably some walking in between. But yeah, we'll see. I mean, I'm from Boston, so I'm used to the cold, but I've gotten kind of soft with it. So we'll see how I adjust.
The tolerance has been lowered a little bit.
Yeah, well, for people who are running it, I actually found out you're supposed to dress 10 degrees warmer when you run. compared to the air temperature. I don't know. It's a fun little fact. I don't know if it was going to
point out.
Well, something to point out, I guess. So
planning your outfits.
Yeah, planning your outfits. Right. I'll probably have a beanie. And Jose told me, one of our producers, he said that if you're wearing clothes while you're running it, like extra jackets, and you throw them to the side of the road, they actually donate them to Goodwill. Thought that was pretty cool. All right, right now it's mild, 55. Big difference in temperature in the next few days. We'll show you that drop in just a second. Williamson County, 57. Milam, Lee, and Fayette County in the upper 50s, and maybe a 60 out toward the hill country. All right, here's what's happening. Our cameras are having a bit of a glitch there, but notice the temperatures will continue to drop through the afternoon into the evening hours, and that will be the start of our change. Cold front's going to work its way through Saturday into Sunday, most likely early Saturday in the morning. That's when the front arrives. High temperatures on Saturday, 60. But look what happens on Sunday. That's when more of that Arctic air arrives, 42 for a high on your Sunday itself. We'll be dry with that specific cold front, but beyond the cold air being in play, that's when a little bit of moisture could get involved, which could create some sort of wintry weather for us here in Central Texas. So we know overnight lows will be in the 20s. We know there is a chance that a low pressure forming in the Gulf will provide us with the correct moisture for some sort of mix, a cold rain, or maybe a snow. Although we're trending more snowier, that's because of the overnight timing of this as it works its way through Monday night through Tuesday morning. Here's what I have right now. This will change and fluctuate. That wintry mix line can go all the way up. It can go down. There could be more of a cold rain involved. But as of right now, Monday into Tuesday, this looks like mostly a snow event for Austin. Here's the GFS model, one of two models I'll show you, that has a little more of a mix to start off. But you'll notice overnight Monday into Tuesday, once that cold air really begins to work its way through overnight, we'll see a little bit more to start off your Tuesday with some of these darker blues. More snowfall will kind of just continue throughout Tuesday itself through the morning hours. And the European model, I'll show you this one as well, a little bit more of a cold solution. So let's play this through Monday, arriving a little bit more later overnight Monday into Tuesday. Pretty much all snow to start off down toward Fayette County. Could get a little bit of mixing toward San Marcos here. And for snow lovers, this is your go-to model here, and this will persist throughout the day on Tuesday into Tuesday afternoon when it's all said and done. I'm not going to show you totals because it will change until we get the actual atmospheric dynamics in play and the high resolution models once they come in, which typically is within 72 hours. That's when we'll have a much better idea. So Nick Bannon's coming in tonight, our chief meteorologist. He'll probably have some sort of preliminary numbers for you. If not, we're just looking at trends for now. 68 today, maybe some drizzle this morning. It's just so dry that not a lot of it's fallen to the surface. Tonight, 45, not as cold as the upcoming nights, and let me show you why. How about the 20s overnight? So bundle up. If you're running that race, the International Half Marathon, so a lot of layers are necessary there. The wind chill is going to feel like it's in the 20s and teens when the race starts. How about Monday, Tuesday, 30s? I have a 40% chance of precipitation during the daytime and then a 60% chance of any sort of rain or a mix at night, and we'll have updates for that. And also, download our KXAN First Warning Weather app because we'll have updates on there as well.
It is a new Congress, and Texas Republican Congressman Chip Roy is reintroducing his his bill aiming to ban members of Congress from trading stocks.
A Democrat from Rhode Island has also rallied behind the effort aimed at rebuilding trust in Congress. Washington correspondent Basil John reports.
According to public records, several lawmakers on Capitol Hill buy and sell stocks. But some members are concerned their colleagues use their position and knowledge for financial gain.
Members of Congress, when we make decisions, should be making them based on what is best for the American people, not what is best for our own personal finances.
That's why Rhode Island Democrat Congressman Seth Magaziner and Texas Republican Congressman Chip Roy reintroduced a bill to ban members and their immediate family from trading stocks.
This is a reform that is long overdue, that the American people have a right to expect from us.
They're tired of people who come here and effectively profiteer. And it's common sense.
The legislation would also require them to move their investments to a blind trust while in office.
What you can't do is be day trading and actively trading on the very things you're regulating and voting on. It's insane.
Even President Joe Biden supports the idea.
We need to ban members of Congress from trading stock while they're in the Congress.
But not all lawmakers are on board with the legislation because they believe it may go too far.
I just think that we've made too big of a deal about, oh no, these people only come here to make money.
Pennsylvania Republican Congressman Mike Kelly tells me you can't have a one-size-fits-all bill when it comes to members trading stocks.
I think you can have oversight, and I think you have guidelines.
But Magaziner and Roy are optimistic more members will jump on board and support the bill. Reporting in Washington, I'm Basil John.
The CDC is calling for ramped up testing to find human cases of bird flu. It comes amid an escalating outbreak of the virus in dairy cows and poultry. The agency says labs should accelerate testing on patients hospitalized with the bird flu to within 24 hours of their admission. The new guidance applies only to patients with influenza A. The H5N1 virus or bird flu is a subtype of that.
In-depth, investigative. This is KXAN News at Noon.
Today, we are hearing some positive reports out of California as containment numbers are looking better and better as crews are continuing to fight those devastating wildfires in the southern part of the state. And they're getting some help from our very own Central Texas firefighters.
Just an hour ago, we heard from Nick Perkins, who is the fire chief of the Travis County Emergency Services District 2 in Pflugerville. Some of his crews are in California working the Palisades fire, which has burned more than 23,000 acres.
The conditions there are, somewhat unprecedented, obviously, for crews that are used to operating in Central Texas. We just don't see conditions like that. But even from firefighters we're talking to on the West Coast, this is just a significant event, even for the folks that fight and work in those environments regularly.
Firefighters also say there is now another concern following the wildfires, and that is mudslides.
Turning now to Washington, Congress is moving ahead with some new immigration laws aimed at cracking down on undocumented immigrants who commit violent crimes in the United States. Two separate pieces of legislation are under consideration right now, just days before President-elect Donald Trump is sworn in.
Both of these bills highlight the ongoing focus that immigration and border safety are getting ahead of this new administration. Washington correspondent Trevor Shirley has the latest.
Senate debate continues on the Laken Riley Act, named after a Georgia nursing student who was murdered by a Venezuelan migrant in the U.S. illegally. If passed, it would require federal authorities to detain unauthorized immigrants accused of certain crimes, including theft and shoplifting.
This is something the American people spoke loud and clear about during the last election when they elected President Trump, a Republican Senate, and a Republican House.
Already, several Democrats joined Republicans in support of that bill, but some say additional modifications are needed.
I believe it is possible for this act to be improved, for it to advance public safety, and for it to make a contribution to the country.
In the House, lawmakers passed the Preventing Violence Against Women by Illegal Aliens Act. The bill makes it easier for federal authorities to deport migrants in the U.S. illegally if they're accused or convicted of a range of crimes, including domestic violence, child abuse, or sexual assault.
The Preventing Violence Against Women by Illegal Aliens Act is just one of many bills Republicans have proposed that will help close immigration loopholes, reverse the disastrous policies of the Biden-Harris administration, and implement President Trump's immigration enforcement agenda.
But House Democrats say the bill is redundant, that established law already creates the same results.
The point is clear. If our goal is to, quote, prevent violence against women by illegal aliens, as the bill's title says, our current criminal and immigration laws already do that.
That was Trevor Shirley reporting there. So far, it's unclear when the Senate will take up the bill that the House already approved.
Israel's security cabinet today approved a ceasefire deal that would pause the fighting in Gaza and release dozens of hostages held by militants. It now requires Israeli government approval. The prime minister there, Benjamin Netanyahu, and his office said if a deal is passed, the ceasefire could start as soon as Sunday, with the first hostages released. Mediators with Qatar and the United States announced the ceasefire on Wednesday, but the deal hung in limbo for more than a day as Netanyahu insisted there were last-minute snags he blamed on Hamas. The militants, though, maintained they were committed to the deal, while the residents of Gaza and the families of the hostages anxiously awaited to see if it would materialize. According to Israeli media, 33 hostages will be released in the first stage of the ceasefire agreement. Under the deal, it would happen over the next 6 weeks in exchange for hundreds of Palestinians currently imprisoned by Israel. On the first day, 3 captives are expected to be released. On the 7th day, 4 will be released, and then 3 more will be released each week until after the 42nd day. On that day, 14 will be released.
Today, President Joe Biden set the record for issuing the most pardons and commutations in American history. The president announced he is commuting the sentences of nearly 2,500 people convicted of nonviolent drug offenses in what is the biggest single-day act of clemency. In a statement, Biden said his action is an important step toward righting historic wrongs and correcting sentencing disparities, as well as to provide deserving individuals a chance to return to their families and communities after spending time behind bars. The president indicated he could take more clemency action before he leaves office on Monday.
We want to take you now to a live picture from the nation's capital today. Donald Trump's inauguration is expected to be held now indoors due to dangerously cold temperatures in the D.C. area. We're just now learning that today on this Friday. There are plans underway to have Trump be sworn in inside the Capitol Rotunda and the parade to be held at the Capital One Arena. On Sunday afternoon, Trump will also hold a rally. Among the speakers there, Elon Musk. He spent more than $250 million on the 2024 election. The president-elect picked Musk as co-chair of what he's calling the Department of Government Efficiency. Musk is expected to appear at Monday's swearing-in, along with several of the president-elect's cabinet picks, elected officials, and of course a host of other guests.
Meanwhile, Donald Trump's former attorney, Rudy Giuliani, has reached a settlement with 2 Georgia election workers. A court had ordered Giuliani to satisfy a judgment of nearly $150 million for defaming Ruby Freeman and her daughter Shay Moss. The former New York mayor says the settlement will allow him to keep all of his, quote, personal belongings, including his New York co-op and a Florida condo.
First warning weather.
Back here at home, let's get a live look outside right now as we're soaking up the last few days of bearable temperatures.
I feel like I just want to take a walk after the show just to enjoy it for a little while longer because, Tommy, those temperatures, they're going to take a dive.
Yeah, take a little air in a bottle and keep it. That's the last warm weather for the next few days. We'll warm back up late next week, but we have this little in-between pocket of some potential winter weather as well as some cold temperatures. Quick little snapshot here, and we'll go a little more in-depth with it during my final full forecast in about 10 minutes or so. Bottom line is next Monday and Tuesday, highs will be in the 30s and 40s, lows in the teens and 20s. Wind chill in the teens for several mornings, and we could get a little bit of wintry precipitation out of this as well. Too far out for specific totals overall, looking like it's going to be relatively low accumulation. Here's how it looks right now. 55 degrees. We have mostly cloudy skies. Some breaks of sunshine could be possible throughout the afternoon hours. You see a little bit of clearing toward the hill country there. I'm not expecting any additional drizzle to fall. Maybe a few hundredths of an inch was accumulated total out of this. It's just so dry. A lot of it evaporated before it reached the surface. Temperature-wise, much warmer in Houston, 64, Corpus Christi, 71, Brownsville, 75. We're in the 50s through central and northern Texas. That 10% rain chance pretty much drops off by the early afternoon hours, and then we're dry overnight tonight before our cold front works its way through. 30s out the door tomorrow morning. The front's going to arrive early Saturday, but the cold air eviction doesn't arrive until early Sunday. So high temperatures will be in the upper 50s, low 60s tomorrow, but then you'll notice a drop by Sunday. 42 wind chill values will be in the 20s early for Sunday and teens early for Monday. So here's what's coming up. We're going to walk you through this Arctic front arriving. We'll go a little more in depth on the weekend forecast of how could it be clouds versus sun, as well as the latest on the wintry weather. Could snow be possible in Texas? It's trending a little bit more toward yes. I'll explain that here in just a bit.
Tommy, an Austin animal shelter says it is laying off some of its employees. It says they're doing it so they can continue the life-saving work they do.
KXAN's Nabil Ramadna explains why Austin Pets Alive made this move and how many workers this is all affecting.
At Austin Pets Alive, you'll find dogs and cats who are looking for a new home. But now some of the people who care for those animals will have to find a new place to work. On Thursday, Austin Pets Alive announced they plan to reduce their workforce due to what they called economic challenges, laying off about 20 staff members. It's unclear which positions will be cut at this time. But in a statement, the nonprofit told us, quote, "This is heartbreaking because we have worked so hard to support our workers through a rapid change in the Austin cost of living. However, to maintain our life-saving work, we had to reduce our staffing by 10%. The statement went on to say that all employees would receive severance packages and career assistance. Last year, animal shelter employees filed to become the largest animal shelter union in the country. Some of their asks included wage increases, benefits, and fair employment practices. Last year, the shelter moved out of its decades-old facility, the old city shelter on Lady Bird Lake, ahead of renovations. They moved into 2 buildings near Sunset Valley. The APA shelter is going through a 4-phase plan to expand its facilities. The organization is seeking to raise about $44 million for the projects. Nabil Ramadna, KXAN News.
Now, as part of a bigger plan, the nonprofit will rebuild its adoption and foster center at the Old Town Lake Shelter site. It would also like to build 3 additional facilities across the Austin area. Happy Friday, everybody, again, and thanks for sticking with us on KXAN News at noon. We're showing you a live look from the Austonian. Some clouds hanging around today. Temperatures, better enjoy them now because there is a big cold plunge coming here in the next couple of days. We'll get more on timing about that with Tommy in just a few moments.
Okay, so when cold is coming like this, it's really important to use the days before that cold hits to get prepared.
Yeah, it's important to remember some of those important things and what to do when the power might go out. Staying connected during an emergency is critical, and Rich DeMuro shows us the latest tech to keep you connected.
In an emergency situation, this tech can help keep you connected. If it's been a while since you bought a portable battery bank, the latest models can charge your phone 2 times faster wirelessly. Look for the Qi 2 logo and USB-C charging in and out. For a more comprehensive solution, portable power stations can charge devices, run small appliances, and more, with multiple ports and outlets. You can pair up this portable charging station with some portable solar panels to keep it charged up even if the power goes out. Speaking of solar, check out this solar charging hat from EcoFlow. Not only does it provide protection from the sun, it harnesses those rays into a small battery pack you can plug your phone into. It's about $130.
Or online to get emergency supplies now.
Over-the-air emergency broadcasts can be a lifesaver when streaming isn't an option. A hand crank radio works when batteries are dead. Many have multiple options for AM and FM radio, plus weather bands. You can never have enough flashlights. Get a hand crank version too, so you're never in the dark. Even the smallest flashlights are brighter and more power efficient than ever thanks to LEDs. Wireless providers do all they can to keep cellular signals up and running in disaster areas, but it might not be immediate. Satellite internet is a new alternative. Starlink has a backup plan for $50 a month, and later this year, Amazon expected to launch a competitor called Project Kuiper that's cheaper and faster. Finally, a simple must-have, a flash drive or a cloud folder with important documents like IDs, medical records, and insurance policies. With this tech, you can be charged up, connected, and ready to go no matter what happens.
We do want to tell you, too, just a few minutes ago, the ERCOT, who manages the state's power grid, issued what's called a weather watch. That basically just means they are watching our Texas power grid conditions, and that is going to be on one of the days during this impending cold snap. So something to keep in mind as we track power outages.
And we'll just point out that weather watch will be in effect from January 20th to the 23rd, which again, Tommy, is what you're telling us is the days you're watching closely too.
Yeah, and it's important for us to also say this is not expected to be a 2021 event. For 2021, you were below freezing for 80 plus hours. This will be, of course, above freezing during the daytimes, and we've been also saying overnight, that's when it's going to get cold. We're just keeping you all prepared, you know, just to stay informed and not scared, right? What's the expression? Better to stay prepared than scared, and that's kind of our bottom line here. We're just going to have some sort of wintry weather, Arctic blast. It's going to last for just a few days, 2 to 3 days, then we'll warm back up to close out the work week. Well, where is this cold air? How about northern Canada, Greenland, and the Arctic Circle? It's going to come crashing down as a trough will basically spill this cold air into our area. Here's how it's going to look across the country. I mean, how about that? The blue is cooler than normal, and pretty much everyone. The exceptions would be portions of California and Nevada for staying a little bit warmer than normal. So east of the Rockies, this will be a cold spell for a few days on end. How does it impact us in Austin? Well, 60 on Saturday, 42 on Sunday, and we'll see from a mostly sunny sky to a sunny sky thanks to the cold front that'll work its way on by, and it will be gusty at times up to 20 miles per hour. So like I just mentioned, it's going to be below freezing overnight, so drip the faucets, but high temperatures will be above freezing by about 5 to 10 degrees above 32. we have moisture available from this disturbance that's going to get itself together in the Gulf. That means we could get some sort of wintry weather. Our confidence continues to go up there. It's still too far out for the snow totals and how much icing could occur. I actually made a little bit of some tweaks here on the precipitation outlook in terms of county by county. Still mainly snow. I brought up the wintry mix a little bit because one of the two models I was showing you is a little bit warmer. And then I cut off the snow north of San Saba and Lampasas. I think towards San Angelo, they're just going to be getting some cloudy skies out of this. Here's the GFS that arrives a little bit earlier with some more mixing that could happen. You see the mixing line right there through Gillespie County and Blanco County and Caldwell. But then cold air should pretty much take over overnight Monday into Tuesday. You'll see how we could wake up early Tuesday with some pretty good amount of snow. And this will fluctuate and change. This mixing line can go all the way up to Waco. It can drop all the way south. So we still have to wait for those high resolution models to come in before we have a definitive forecast and amounts. European model still trending a little bit more cold and is actually providing a little bit more snowfall, higher rates east of Austin, closer to eastern Texas and Louisiana. So this is a snow lover's map here. If you like the snow, the European model is your go-to. We just have two of these that we look at for any sort of numerical data and weather model output. Today, though, 68. We have some clouds and sunshine, and winds will be out of the south. Tonight, we'll keep the winds out of the south, shifting to the north early tomorrow morning. Notice the gusting up to 20 miles per hour, a low of 45 from the clouds. Now, it's going to be a little bit colder tomorrow, 60 for a high, but we're not going to feel that cold air evacuation and the chilly Arctic blast in our area until Sunday. But then notice those overnight temperatures in the 20s that are going to carry out for a few days. How about Wednesday morning, 20 degrees out the door. Wind chill could make that in the teens and single digits. We'll have updates for you here at the First Warning Weather Center, and download our KXAN First Warning Weather app.
You made your vote count, and this is the photo of the year that you all chose. It's a field of wildflowers at sunset, of course, a gorgeous sunset in Taylor, taken by Andy Portillo. Congrats, Andy. You can check out all of the submissions right now on KXAN.com. Remember, we do this every month, and I will tell you what, our digital data reporter, Christopher Adams, takes a lot of time looking at every photo that's submitted. So if you would like to submit a photo for this month, you can email it to report@KXAN.com. Be on the lookout, though, as a KXAN team member may need to contact you. We do have a permission form so that we can actually use your photo here on air and online. And a reminder, the photo must be taken in January. No sneaking around.
I'd love to see all those. They're so great. Well, you know, we all want to have a restful sleep, right? So we don't want anything to wake us up at all. And so this next story might connect with us a little bit better. This baby capybara born at the San Antonio Zoo, you can see is sleeping, but then a little bird came and jumped on top of it and got to its head. That's a very rude wake-up call from the bird stepping on him. But as you can see in the video, he really didn't let that disturb him at all from getting his full rest, because he just went right back to sleep after the bird flew away. Now, this little guy is the zoo's first capybara born there since 2000.
He's
so
a cutie.
Adorable. That's almost like me whenever my alarm goes off like 5 times and I hit the snooze button. Just don't let it bother me at all. I gotta go right back to sleep.
Or pet owners when their dog is whimpering.
That part too.
Yeah.
Waking up, yeah. Sometimes I might need a bird to fly and land on my head to
it might help.
Get me going, you know.
When we feel it for those early mornings, like, oh no, it's 2 a.m.
Okay, we are speaking of early mornings. You're tracking some stuff coming in overnight this weekend. We want to give people one last look at that forecast.
Yeah, so I'm going to show you the 4-day temperature outlook first, just to show you kind of the drop of temperatures slowly. Cold front's going to move through early tomorrow, but you're not going to feel that frigid air until Saturday night into Sunday. 42 for Sunday, and then 38 degrees for Monday. Wind chill factor, maybe subtract 10 to 20 degrees from that out the door early in the morning hours with the northerly wind. Your First Warning Weather 7-day forecast. We're also keeping an eye on any sort of wintry mix possibility. That's Monday through Tuesday, 40% chance of precipitation, then 60% overnight, and it's trending like overnight Monday into Tuesday some snow could be a factor, which snow is much better than ice. Let's hope it stays like that, because, you know, 1 to 3 inches of snow, not a big deal to clean up. Ice, on the other hand, it's a big deal.
All right, and I know you will all be watching it very closely. Right. So we'll appreciate any updates you bring, and we want to say thank you again for watching here at noon. We will see you back here in about half an hour with another update on your weather forecast and some other headlines. And just enjoy your Friday, everybody. Take care.